Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. Now we're going to do stage 2 of our artwork, and this time we're introducing tone, texture and form to the eye that we have created last day, where we focused just simply on line and shape. Now, what is tone, what is form and what is texture? Well, if we start off with the obvious one that you'll know is probably texture, and texture is to do with how something feels, and we want this skin to look quite rough, to look creased in the right areas, because it isn't a smooth surface. The wrinkles are creating areas that are, you know, quite dry and quite withered in terms of how the skin feels. So we want to be able to communicate that across, and we need to do that by handling our media very carefully. Form is about making something look 3D, and form will be achieved if you carefully use media and tone correctly. And so that brings us round to what is tone. Tone is all about where the light is reaching the drawing. Where is light and where is dark. And so whenever I do any kind of tonal work, I like to use a 5 tonal scale. So I like to just kind of draw 5 wee boxes at a side, and I'll even number them 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Alright, number 1 I leave completely empty, and number 5 I lean as heavy as I can with my pencil. Okay, and that's to indicate the 2 extreme ends of the scale, so the highlights and the darkest of dark shadows. Number 4 will then be heavy, but not as heavy as it was at number 5. Number 3, slightly lighter again, and you'll notice when I'm trying to get a wee bit lighter, what I do is I move my finger higher up the pencil. Alright, and again at number 2, you can see my finger's right up high at number 2 here. And I'm going as light as possible without it being completely light as number 1. And what's important when you're doing your tonal drawings is see where you've got number 2, 3 and 4. It's really important to really differentiate those tones in your drawing, otherwise you'll end up with just one big grey area in the middle if you're not really sensitive with how you apply areas 2, 3 and 4. Equally, if you only put light and dark, it's not going to look 3D either, alright? And so if your artwork isn't looking 3D, it's because you've maybe not exaggerated a shadow or a highlight. That tends to be the root cause of it, or you've not been sensitive enough with these areas in the middle. And so how I would start to apply tone is I would start with my number 5 areas, and looking at this artwork here, there's maybe 1, potentially 2 areas that I would say are number 5. So if you have a wee look at your artwork just now, see if you can see where I'm talking about. Okay, so I hope that you will agree that the pupil and at the very, very top of the eyelid in that image is the darkest areas of that artwork. And so, quite simply, I will go in to my artwork and lean particularly heavy in these areas. Similar Okay, so when you're doing a number 5, you'll notice that I'm holding the pencil quite close down. Okay, I'm then going to stick with just that eyelid, because the eyelid in particular has a number 5, a number 4, a number 3, a number 2 and a number 1. Alright, it's got all the numbers in it. So what I don't want to see is big scribbles like this, you going from light to dark. Your pencil work should always be quite close together, even as you move up the pencil with your fingers, because you want the changes of tone to be so subtle that you don't know where one tone ends and the other begins. So by starting off with a nice, probably about a number 3, and gradually going into a 4, back and forth, and again really close in at this eye. I'm going to start to create that definition of tone. You'll notice the direction that I'm using the pens as well. Don't be scared to like turn your artwork round. You don't need to work on everything front way, but your direction of pencil is important. If something is going round, you should be working in a way that also goes round, because that's going to add to that realistic effective form. Areas of bright white, so I'm just going to go into the areas that I feel are number 2 and around the bright white, and then gradually getting heavier in the 3 again. And you should, this is where the majority of your time should be spent, folks, is working on the tone. You should be spending much more time on tone than you spend on drawing it out. I'm not interested in seeing big rushed scribbles, okay? It's about quality. That's why I'm giving you just the eye to do in this time frame. I want you to show me how good you can apply tone to make something look realistic in 3D. I almost kind of work really closely together with my pencil, almost in a circular motion as well. I'm just trying to really best describe how I would apply the pencil to an area. Down in here at this inner corner of the eye, it's quite dark. And you'll just see me gradually moving about the face now. When I come to the white part of the eye, I'm applying the tone in a way that curves round the direction of the ball of the eye, because it's all about the form. And by this side. Sometimes if you half close your eyes as well, that can help you find the areas of tonal change. One area I want to point out is the fact that just because the white part of the eye is white, it doesn't mean the tone of it is white. So the colour might be white, but remember, tone's to do with areas of light and dark. So even within that white, there'll be areas that are a little bit darker that you need to sort of just reinforce. And as you get more confident, you'll just jump between the tones where they're necessarily at. And back in here, and at this part of the eye, I can see really obvious shadows. Certainly a number 4, I would say, on here anyway. By now you should be starting to get a bit impressed with your own drawing. Don't forget to take breaks. I'm doing this quite intensely, but as soon as you find yourself not looking at the artwork, it's time to take a break. You need to always look at the image. You should, in fact, for all observational drawing, you should be looking at the image 80% of the time and only drawing probably about 20%. I know that seems crazy. This type of drawing has nothing to do with, as some people will say, oh, I can't draw. It's got absolutely nothing to do with talent, if you like. It's about observing. It's about being patient and patiently looking at shapes and putting them in the right place, and patiently looking at tones and applying them in the right place. And I'll take the opportunity to maybe kind of go over some of my eyelashes here, now that I can lean a wee bit heavier. And then at this stage I might decide it might need a wee bit more in here. There's certainly areas that I can be adding some shadows into, but just for the sake of this video I'm going to start moving on to the creases and the wrinkles in the face. And quite simply, you're just applying the same approach again, but where it's really dark in the creases, that's where you're obviously leaning quite heavy. You're putting your mid-tones in the right place, keeping your pencil work again very close together, and leaving your highlights in the right place as well. Again, thinking about texture, applying the pencil in a kind of rough way, various directions, gives the skin that rough feel that we're trying to achieve. If you find that your artwork's looking flat, it's not looking 3D because you've maybe not got enough highlights in, don't be scared if you've got a rubber at home to go into it with a rubber and just rub out some areas that are maybe a wee bit too grey, if you like, with the pencil, and just put in where the highlights should be. Just let them be exaggerated. starting to see the creases on your screen the same way I am on mine. Okay, and obviously you would continue with that until the artwork was complete. I would then request if you could please put that on Teams for me, and I'll be able to give you feedback on that. Okay, thanks.